So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined by two fantastic guests, two first year medical students, Chandan and Anirudh. And today we're going to be talking about 5 tips that you can use to study better during this COVID lockdown. These two guests will also join me on 2 live streams in the near future. So check the screen now and you guys can join us and ask us questions and we'll answer them live. Guys, please introduce yourselves. Chandan, let's start with you.
Hi, my name is Chandan. I am a first year medical student at Peterhouse, and I'm from Walsall, the town just outside Birmingham.
Hi guys, I'm Anirudh and I am also a first year medical student at Peterhouse in Cambridge, and I'm also from Birmingham.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for coming on the channel today to share your wonderful tips with the audience. And for those of you who don't even know me, I'm Sen. I'm a 4th year medical student here at Cambridge, and let's get straight to it. For those of you who are more interested in our profiles, then please do go check out our Instagrams. Our handles are on the screen, as you can see, next to our names. And Chandan and Anirudh will both join me on live streams in the near future. So getting straight to the point, during this lockdown, whether you're at school or university, you're most likely going to be studying from home. Now, this is going to be very different for all of us. As medical students, some of us are fortunate to have the need to come back to university. But if you are stuck at home, we've got 5 fantastic tips to help you study sustainably during this lockdown, maintaining both your mental health, but also your long-term goals to help you make the most of it. So Chandan, let's kick it off. What's your first tip for the audience?
Hi, so my first tip is, this is quite important, I think, but is to tailor your revision to your subject specifically. Now, I think this is something that's quite often overlooked. So what I would recommend is to look into each subject that you want to study and think about what is the nature of the subject. What I mean by that is, for example, like essay subjects. I think the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to studying for essay subjects is essay plans or mind maps and stuff like that. But when it comes to things like languages, vocab, you know what I mean? So I think it's important to distinguish between different subject types and how you would study for each one. For example, at A level, I did biology, chemistry, maths, and an EPQ, but yeah, biology, chemistry, maths were my A levels. And I think even between those, they might seem quite similar, like on paper, but they were quite different in terms of how I studied them. So for example, for biology, I did a lot of majority note taking, I think, because what I found was with exams and things like that, you have to know the content in order to be able to apply it to situations. So note taking was a predominant way I kind of learned the stuff in biology, and the rest of it was exam practice. So if any of you are interested, I'm selling my notes that I made at A level for all 3 of my A level subjects. The link's in the description if you want to check out. Yeah, so for biology, as I was saying, it was mostly note taking and some exam practice. But for maths, though, I think it was pretty much the opposite. So it was virtually like 100% questions and things like that, because I found that with maths, it was more about learning the techniques, learning the skills, and then being able to apply it. That's basically A level maths. So looking at each subject specifically and thinking about how you can tailor revision to that subject. I think along with that is see if there's anything with exams specifically, see if there's anything that you can find in terms of trends. So what I mean by that is, for example, in A-level chemistry, every single year you would get a question which was define standard enthalpy of formation or combustion. Always came up every single year, same 3 marks every single year as well. So when it came to learning the definitions and things like that, I would just use the mark scheme one because that's what the examiners are looking for. So things like that, see if there's any trends, see if there's any common themes that come up, see if you can play to that and to prioritize your revision in terms of topics to study. I think for essay subjects at GCSE, for example, it was essay plans and practice. And I think a good tip that I don't remember who told me, but what I found really useful was because of the new spec, like the new specs and things for GCSEs and A level, don't just do past paper questions for your new spec, do the old ones as well. That's really, really important. I didn't do that at GCSE and I regret doing that. But if you're doing an essay subject, for example, what you can do is you can use old questions and things, but use new specification mark schemes. So I don't remember who told me that, but that's a really good tip and it really helped me a lot. So I did loads and loads of practice for all of my subjects and things. And I think it really, really helped, because if you you can know as much of the subject as you want to, but if you don't know how to do the exams, then what are you doing? But yeah, I think that's my first tip. Past paper questions and think about the subjects that you're studying.
Fantastic. I don't think I've got anything to add to that. That was really very, very sort of specific. And I think, yeah, I'd agree with everything. And I did very similar things to you there. Anirudh, what's your second tip? I think yours is about organization, isn't it?
Yeah, so organization, and firstly about timetabling. So making sure that you have a proper plan in place to work towards through your term, and planning ahead the day before. So writing, what I found really useful was the night before I'd write a list of things that I need to do for the next day, and like ticking it off. That gave me a huge amount of satisfaction as I completed each of the tasks. I also think with organization, separating your work area from the areas that you use to relax, e.g. your bed, like the sofa, is really useful. And I think it's more of a psychological impact it has, like in the sense that you're more productive when you're at your desk and you know that you're there to work. Whereas when you're in your bed, you might be, scrolling through Instagram or watching Netflix or whatever. And so you can have that separate distinction. I think that's really important. And one of the ways that you will go and work in your desk more often is by keeping it clutter-free. So keeping it quite simple, tidy, not with too many books and too many items in your desk. It will make it more likely that you'll go and work there. I also think using a Pomodoro timer, I found to be really helpful. And this app called Flora, I would highly recommend, because you basically time yourself around half an hour or an hour, and you do some work, and it reminds you to take a break in between, which is really important. And I found that really helpful in order to work through large amounts of content consistently over the period over a day. And it reminds you to take regular breaks when needed, so you can stretch, drink some water and get back into it. So I think definitely using Flora is something I'd recommend.
Your tip about keeping the desk clutter-free is so true. I find that my desk has too many things on it. I just have a feeling of coming and swiping everything off. I don't care where I put it, just to have a clean desk to sit down and do work. And if you just regularly, every evening before you go to sleep, clean your desk and have maybe the things you're going to study the next day on the desk ready, then once you get up, you can go and do whatever you want in the morning. And when you sit down, everything's ready for you to study, nice and clean, nice and organized. So that actually brings me on to my tip out of these 5, which is actually not related to studying. It's find a hobby or find things to do around your house that aren't related to studying. Whether it's going out and pottering around in the garden, tending to the roses, or mowing the grass, or trimming the hedges, or even learning how to cook. There's a series of cooking videos coming out soon. Or even just doing the laundry, helping your parents out, or keeping a room tidy and hoovering. These things are really important to do just to get you out of the study environment, to give your mind a break, and just to help you relax. Usually I find when I study most effectively, when I take a break, I like the break to be completely removed from my study environment. It allows me to just shift my focus on something completely different. So when I come back to work, my mind is fresh and ready to think about work. And so that's my tip. Find something to do around the house every day that is different to your work, that can help you get out, get some fresh air and some exercise as well. Remember, this lockdown is quite a long period of time. It's looking like 6 weeks. So a work-life balance is really important to remember. Don't end up just being in your room for 7 hours every day. As important as it is to work, that work-life balance is critical to strike. Anyway, right, Anirudh, I think you have another tip that's more specific to studying now. Please tell us more about that.
So memorization is a big part of studying nowadays. There's a lot of content to get through. And whilst we don't enjoy memorization, it is a fundamental part of education nowadays. So one of the ways that I get through it is using flashcards, and especially an app called Anki, which uses an algorithm to improve active recall. So improving your ability to remember information over longer periods of time and reinforcing that within your brain. So I use Anki, which I'd highly recommend. And you can also find decks that other people have created on Anki. So I found that another way, like if I want to get information really quickly into my head, I find other people's decks and use those, and that works really well. And another way that you could memorize information is by testing each other. And I know that during a lockdown, it can be quite difficult not to meet with other people, but doing group calls with friends and studying with friends is a really good way to not just maintain your mental health, but also to test each other, share ideas by collaborating with each other and motivating each other through this difficult situation that we find ourselves in. So memorization recall, I'd say, using flashcards and also testing the content with friends, I found really helpful.
People, make sure you use these tips to your advantage. These are Cambridge students, they're medical students, they know how to study, they know how to get things into their heads. So, these tips are like gold dust. Anyway, Chandan, the final tip for today, please tell us.
All right, so my final tip is to remove all distractions when you are studying. Now, this is something that, okay, I can't lie, I am a culprit of as well. So I think this is really, really important because, first of all, no one wants to spend like hours and hours at a desk, basically. And I think getting rid of distractions is one of the best ways you can increase your productivity and efficiency when studying. So first of all, get rid of your phone. You do not need your phone at all, like near you, because you will be distracted. You'll be tempted to go on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, TikTok nowadays. So remove that. I think what I used to do was I used to give it to a family member, and if someone really needed me, if it was something that was actually urgent, and they would probably like call or something if it was that urgent. And if I got a call, I would just I would tell them, if I get a call, bring me the phone and I'll deal with it or whatever. But if not, then keep it away from me. I don't need it, because I'm someone who is so easily tempted. I'm so easily tempted. I'm not like, if I'm working and I see my phone and I'm bored because I'm just studying or whatever, I will go on my phone. So I need to keep it away from me, whatever. I think another way that you can do that, if you don't want to give it to anyone, put your what's it called, the ringtone on max, so that you can hear it from a distance if it rings or whatever. Or one thing that I did before when I was younger was during GCSEs was literally, okay, this is quite bad, but I would just put it on the other end of the house and I just wouldn't look at it for the whole day, basically. And I was known with my friend group for like not texting back or replying, whatever. So that you can do that if you want. I mean, I did that and it worked, so it's fine. I think the other thing, and this is the main one for me, and this is something that I will preface this with the fact that I'm still trying to get out of this habit, but try your best not to listen to music when you are studying. I have been listening to music for like while I'm studying. Like, it's something that I did at A-level a bit, towards the end, and at the start at uni as well, when I was making notes and things. You do not learn anything when you are listening to music as well. I don't think, anyway. If it like, okay, I will admit that sometimes I think some people don't like silence. Fine, but you have to be careful about what music you listen to. For example, the music I listen to, it's loud. It's very loud, and I will sing along. I will stop working and I will start singing. Or while I'm writing my notes, I will be singing along. So things like, I listen to a lot of rap and stuff like that. So stuff that is very like upbeat, and yeah, I just get distracted. So I can give an example of this actually. Like during term time, during Michaelmas term, first term, I was rereading my anatomy notes that I'd made, and I literally remember something like reading like this artery lies deep off in the vein, which is a Travis Scott bar basically. So I was like, and I read that and I thought, okay, I need to stop. Like I really need to stop listening to music because I'm not learning anything. So I think if you do want to listen to music, listen to either classical or instrumental music or something, if you really need to. Otherwise, just go for silence. And I think it's really important because once you get in the habit of listening to music, it is so hard to break out of that habit, because now I'm a bit like, okay, when I'm studying without music, for example, I find it boring and I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this. But it's something that you have to work on. So I would say, do not listen to music in the first place. Don't get into that habit, and then you will have to break out of it because it's really hard to do. So yeah, I think if you live in a loud house, for example, like I live in a pretty loud house, so headphones are useful, or if you want to listen to music to drown out any noise or whatever, you can listen to classical or instrumental music. And I think that is probably the most that you should do, because otherwise it's just risky and you risk not knowing the content well enough, I think, when it comes to exams. So yeah.
If I add something to that, actually, so one thing I really find useful is, or that I do now as well, when it comes to having my phone around, I know it's the sort of notification sounds that really do distract me. And most likely, if my family are going to contact me or someone important is going to contact me, it's going to be through my direct phone number or through like my direct message or through FaceTime. And so when it comes to my WhatsApp and Facebook sort of messengers, what I do is actually go into the individual settings and turn off the notifications for those apps specifically. So I only find out that I've got a message on them once I've opened the app. And fine, I'll have like 5 or 6 messages to reply to, which is actually very satisfying when you have all these messages to reply to when you open the app. But it just keeps me away from like this constant text messaging cascade you can get into. Because I think once you start speaking to a friend and they're online, you're online, you start having a good chat and you carry on, it's half an hour that flies. So if you are easily distracted and you can't just put your phone elsewhere, which I did as well, actually, I put it under my bed, but at least turn the notifications off for the apps which constantly ping you. In addition to that, when you mentioned listening to music, I think one of the big reasons why listening to like upbeat sort of rap hip hop music doesn't really help us study usually, although we think it helps it distracts us. The reason why we don't get much in is I think because of the mismatch. So when you're reading, you're not reading at whatever, like 160 beats per minute, are you? Like the rappers are going. So because you're reading quite slow and steady, when you're like listening to the rap music, your brain's in like that sort of fast sort of mode of action, right? It's like when you're running and listening to like a nice upbeat song, you can run even faster or cycle even faster. But when you're studying, actually, you're not going at that speed unless you're super duper clever and clever than all of us put together. So maybe if you do want to listen to some sort of music, try and get into some sort of slow classical music or some like chill music, which just gives you some ambient sound that doesn't actually distract you and just which supplements your learning. But as Chandan said, try and eradicate music completely, or at least use music in the worst case, like for the first 5 minutes, just to get you to sit at your desk. Then once you're into like the zone of studying, just put the music off and just carry on studying until your session finishes. Anyway, right. So, gents, thank you so much for joining today. These have been fantastic tips. And I'm going to give one last bonus tip, actually, for those of you who are, who've made it to the end of the video. One of those is actually regarding YouTube. So I think when we're low on motivation, it's very easy to go onto YouTube and begin watching videos such as, for example, this one. Now, after you watch this video, which actually is quite useful, you might then get a recommendation from Mr. Beast. As interesting as Mr. Beast is, again, that's another 10 minutes which flies out the window. And then you get another car wow video coming up, which recommends the latest £200,000 car you're never going to buy. But, oh, that sounds interesting. You watch that as well. And so things like YouTube, they're designed to keep you on the platform. So when you are trying to study, avoid things which will distract you, whether it's Netflix, YouTube, Amazon Prime. Although these videos are here to try and help you, you've got to realize in the context of the bigger YouTube platform, actually it can be quite unproductive starting to watch these videos because none of this video, it's of all the other things you watch afterwards. And then before you know it, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're watching some like dodgy cat videos or, I don't know, car reviews at 1 o'clock in the morning. So avoid that if you can. And it is a tough habit, but when you like I think Anirudh said, if you learn to separate your work and study space, then you know, okay, right, before I go to bed, I'm going to go watch, Sen Kath or Ali Abdal or Carwow or Cat videos. And then you know that rest time is when you get to relax and watch these sorts of things. And even if you get distracted, worst case, you're just going to fall asleep with the phone in your face. So, that's all of our tips today. Thank you so much to both of you for joining today and everyone else for watching. Remember, there is a big live stream coming up with these two guests as well, and it'll be fantastic. And also, please go check out Chandan's notes. I actually had to flick through them earlier. They are really, really good, very detailed, and I think you'll really enjoy using them. So the link is in the description down below, but also it'll pop up somewhere here, hopefully. And yes, please do go check that out. As always, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Chandan, Anirudh, thank you so much to the channel. Would you like to say goodbye?
Thank you, guys.
And
Bye. Thanks for watching.
yes, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you guys soon in the next video. Bye-bye. Take care.